Hello, everyone. This is Prophetic Words. I have a video for you today, and this one will be about how long is the tribulation. But it's not a long topic, so I'll also include some other information. And I'll start off by talking about the wrath. On the last video I did, I explained the difference between the tribulation and the wrath, and I spoke of the wrath being the earthquakes and the stars falling from the sky and things like that. Well, it does say the exact same thing with the tribulation. So I'm just going to go over that a little bit more to explain what I really mean. So let's go ahead and get started here. Okay, I don't know what I did different here. All right, so we'll go to our Bible online that we all can see. And I'll go back to Matthew 24, and I'm referring to the Truth About the Tribulation video that I put out. And so I just want to clarify some people understand what you mean and others don't, especially if they haven't heard it before. So I just want to make sure I make it clear. And then we'll do Matthew 24. Okay, and so the disciples, I think, are familiar with this. They ask, what is the sign of his coming? And then he goes on to tell them what should happen. And let's see here, let's go down to where he starts speaking. Take heed that no man deceive you, for many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and shall deceive many. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that you be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in divers places. All these are the beginning of sorrows. Okay? So, many people feel, oh my God, we won't be here for the tribulation. Why would our God do that to us when all this destruction is going on? And you have a point, but there is a difference between the tribulation and the wrath of God, and you can go back and look at that if you want to get more information on it. But I want you to notice famines, that's already going on and has been going on. Pestilences, you could consider COVID. I don't think you can say it, people are being flagged. You can consider this plague that we're in a pestilence. Earthquakes have always been going on. Every now and then we hear about earthquakes in different regions, even in the United States. So all of that is already going on. So what's going to happen during the tribulation is we may get more of it or it may be more frequent. But I think, again, that people have confused the two. All right. So many of these things that are going on are already going on. We already have hurricanes. We had one in the Caribbean. We have them in the United States. We have them in Florida. We've had tsunamis that wiped out people. We already have these things, okay? So that's not what's meant by the wrath of God. That happens and will continue until this thing restarts. Let's just put it that way. But so, what do I mean about the wrath? Well, let's go there and we can find more about that in Revelation chapter 16. Revelation. And I'll start reading here. And I heard a great voice out of the temple saying to the seven angels, go your ways and pour out the vials of the wrath of God upon the earth. And the first went and poured out his vial upon the earth, and there fell a noisome and grievous sore upon the men which had the mark of the beast, and upon them which worshipped his image. Now I'm going to stop here, but what I explained was during the wrath, it's the destruction. So yes, you will see stars falling from the sky as we've seen now, and sun being darkened as we're just had an eclipse. These things already go on. So it's nothing to fear during the tribulation. He's not trying to punish you. That's not the point of the tribulation. People were stiff necked and hard hearted, so they weren't kept from the hour of trial that's going to try the entire world, as some are, but it's to perfect you so that you can make the promise that the Most High God has for His people. So many things will go on, but it will be in the same manner that things are going on now, as far as in the skies and with the seasons and things like that. They may be more frequent and there might be a lot more destruction, but this is not the wrath. The wrath is designed to take this place out. So when it talks about Babylon has fallen, it's going to be a combination of those things, I think, with war also. Okay, so that's different. That's when he's just ready to destroy something. But as we know, there has always been natural disasters. So that's what's going to go on. And even Christ himself said, these are the beginning of sorrows. And we already know that these things happen. So let's go back to this verse 2 here. And the first went and poured out his vial upon the earth. Excuse me. And there fell a noisome and grievous sore upon the men which had the mark of the beast, and upon them which worshipped his image. As we see, the wrath that we read about here in verse 1 comes after the tribulation. How do we know? Because these men already had the mark of the beast. That takes place during the tribulation. Now, that is something that will happen that we've been lied to about. That takes place during the tribulation. Okay? And then when that's all done, the wrath comes. That's just what's really unbearable as far as the natural disasters. So when this happens after the tribulation, after men have already taken the mark, after the seals and the trumpets, and now it's time for the vials, pour out the vials of the wrath of God upon the earth, that's when that noisome and grievous sore is going to fall upon men. But not all men, those who had the mark of the beast and that worship his image. And then the second angel poured out his vial upon the sea, and it became as the blood of a dead man. Whoops. Every living soul died in the sea. See, this is the wrath. This is the anger. This is the destruction. But what we must know is we those of us who belong to the Most High God will be removed. But it's not the way that you think it will be. Oh, I'm telling you. The scripture tells you. And it's not by disappearing. No, no, no. You will be removed, but you will be in the earth. Just as Noah was removed from the storm, well, protected from the storm, and that destruction came and every living thing died, but he and his family lived on, started all over, it's going to be the same thing. Just like Sodom and Gomorrah, the whole place burned, but the angel told Abraham and Lot, or Lot to come out, and the Most High God told Abraham himself, they were removed, but that great city still burned. This is what we have to pay attention to. We can't just make things up because things are uncomfortable for us. If we know that we belong to Him, then we should feel confident that we are the ones who are going to be removed. It's only the ones who, in my opinion, who know that what their heart, the condition of their heart really is. You can always fake it, but you can't fake it with the Most High God. So I think those are the ones who are intimidated by a message of going through tribulation. And that's too bad and it's unfortunate because it's what the Bible says. So, anyway, moving on. The third angel poured out his vial upon the rivers and fountains of water, and they became blood. First the sea became blood, then the rivers and fountains became blood. The people of the Most High God have been removed at this point, but we don't disappear. We're still in the earth, just like Noah, just like Abraham and Lot. And I heard the angel of the waters say, Thou art righteous, O Lord, which art and was and shall be, because thou hast judged thus. For they have shed the blood of saints and prophets, and thou hast given them blood to drink, for they are worthy. And I heard another out of the altar say, Even so, Lord God Almighty, true and righteous are thy judgments. And the fourth angel poured out his vial upon the sun, and power was given unto him to scorch men with fire. So we have hot weather, but during the wrath it's going to scorch them. So the wrath is different, basically, from the tribulation, as I said. And some of the same things will happen. Well, maybe, let's see. It's possible. But during the wrath, it's the purpose is to destroy at that point, because the people of the Most High God are no longer in the places where this will happen. And not the whole world will be destroyed. Babylon is fallen, is what the Bible tells us. That great city is fallen, but I'm getting ahead of myself. And let's see, where did we leave off? The fifth angel poured out his vial upon the seat of the beast, and his kingdom was filled with darkness. And then it goes into other things. That's not the topic today, but I'm trying to get you to see the horrible, horrible thing. As far as the natural disasters, that's during the wrath. And then the refusal or acceptance of the mark of the beast, that's during the tribulation. And I showed that we will be here as much as we were told we will not be, because it says there's no gathering until the Antichrist is revealed. You can go back and look at that. And then I'm going to go over how long the tribulation is today. And then one of the scriptures that tell how long the tribulation is actually tells you that we will be here. So, as I said then, you can listen to those wolves out there. Either they don't know it or they're lying to you. Either way is horrible, because we're in the times and we need to know what's going on. Or you can read the Bible. And I know it's a lot in here, but He has given some people understanding. You can take it or you can leave it. So, with that being said, I think that clears up a little bit about the difference between the tribulation and rapture. Much more was said in the other video. But as far as the destruction, it's not in here, or not, at least not in this passage that I'm reading. But I think war will be something that will help destroy it, because it says Babylon is burning. And let me see if I can find that. Mm, okay, I think it's in 18. And after, well, let's see. Let me go down where I'm trying to see. All right. Well, I'll just go ahead and just read quickly. We'll start from verse 1. And after these things, I saw another angel come down from heaven, having great power, and the earth was lightened with his glory. And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the Great is fallen, and is become the habitation of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit, and a cage of every unclean and hateful bird. For all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies. And I heard another voice from heaven saying, Come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, that ye receive not of her plagues. For her sins have reached unto heaven, and God hath remembered her iniquities. This is where the people come out. And once the people are out, it's not going to be through magic. Then the destruction comes. Reward her, verse 6, even as she rewarded you, and double unto her double, according to her works in the cup which she hath filled to her double. How much she hath glorified herself and lived deliciously, so much torment and sorrow give her. For she saith in her heart, I sit a queen, and am no widow, and shall see no sorrow. Therefore shall her plagues come, and one day death and mourning and famine, and she shall be utterly burned with fire. For strong is the Lord God who judgeth her. And this is the point that I'm trying to get to, verse 9 or 9 and 10. And the kings of the earth who have committed fornication and lived deliciously with her shall bewail her and lament her when they shall see the smoke of her burning, standing afar off for the fear of her torment, saying, Alas, alas, that great city Babylon, that mighty city, for in 1 hour is thy judgment come. The point is, not the whole entire world will not be destroyed. And you may say there is a scripture, and then I can show you one that says the opposite. Yes, it does not all agree. No, it does not. So, these kings, these merchants, will stand afar off, standing afar off for the fear of her torment, saying, Alas, alas. So they're going to be living. They're not going to be burning. They're going to be watching it. And they're going to be weeping. They are merchants because Babylon is what's made them rich. And now that she's destroyed, that's their money, their income. They're merchants. And I think it might be down here again. Yes, verse 15. The merchants of these things, which were made rich by her, shall stand afar off for the fear of her torment, weeping and wailing. Yes, for in 1 hour 17, so great riches is come to naught, and every shipmaster, and all the company of ships and sailors, and as many as trade by sea, stood afar off, and cried when they saw the smoke of her burning, saying, What city is like unto this great city? And they cast dust on their heads and cried, weeping and wailing, saying, Alas, alas, that great city wherein were made rich all that had ships in the sea, by reason of her costliness. For in 1 hour she is made desolate. So Babylon is falling. Not the entire world. It's going to affect the entire world because not only the merchants who got rich from her, the people will no longer have the merchandise that they got from her. That's why when the people go to the wilderness, it's not a mystical, magical place. It's a place on earth, but it's outside of Babylon. That means all of its provinces. It's a faraway place, so it's called a wilderness. But his bride, the woman, the 144,000 faithful who have been marked and sealed that nothing can hurt or harm them, will be in the wilderness. It's called a wilderness because it's just not familiar. I mean, these days it is, but it's outside of Babylon, just like outside of Egypt was the wilderness. But they were safe in the wilderness. That's what's going to happen. So, no, the whole world is not going to be destroyed. Babylon is falling. These people are standing, watching, lamenting, crying, weeping, wailing, because they are no longer rich men and women. All right? So now let's move on to how long is the tribulation? Now, I've been trying to decide if I want to do this one part here. Oh, something's gone wrong. Oh, wow. Okay, I'm back. Everything was okay. I thought there was something wrong with my software, but it's working. Um, Next, we're going to go over how long is a tribulation. The Bible tells us in days, in months, and also in years. Um, in order to understand the number of days, you need to understand that you cannot go by the amount of days in the years that we go by now. 365 days in a year, that was not the case. That has been changed. Years ago, back when all this download first started with me, I have no idea about sundials, any of that type of information. It just started coming to me. I'm imagining a sundial, and all of a sudden, I know that a day is divided into four parts, and it's likened to a year being divided into four seasons. And we have names for these parts of the day. We only usually say morning and evening, morning, evening, afternoon, dawn. I mean, we have different names. I don't know which corresponds to which part of the day. I know morning and evening and afternoon. I don't know which the fourth one is. But some people say dawn, some say dusk, some say twilight. Maybe those are different words, or I don't know. But anyway, that's what I understood. The day is divided into four parts, as a year is divided into four seasons. And so it's just now I understand it because he was getting me to understand biblical time because things were changed. But I didn't make the connection. And there was something else that he told me early on. This was like 2011. I did not understand fully until 2020, this year, like 3 months ago. And I'm going, oh, that's what he meant. So it's interesting. He can tell you something, but you not get the full understanding till later. I really don't know what that is. But anyway, I'm just figuring, okay, he's telling me about the day, and I'm thinking about a sundial, and the day has four parts. But it didn't take until 2020, like 9 years later. It took a couple of days, maybe a week or so. And then I understood that I had to have that understanding to determine biblical time. So, anyway, as this was going on, I thought, well, before modern times, how did we, determine time? Instead of a minute, what was the smallest unit of time? And I sat there and I thought about it, and then it came to me a degree. A sundial is a circle. And so you have these different parts of the day, and the sun slowly creeps around to let you know what time it is. But that unit that we call a minute was not called a minute. There were 60 of those in our time, but there were 360 degrees in a day, just as there are 360 days in a year. Isn't that something? So the months were 12 months, but 30 days evenly in each month. So there were only 360. So when you understand that there are 360 days in a year, then you are able to determine or understand what you read in the Bible as far as the days of the tribulation. So now, when I was going over this, I was reminded of something, and I have gone back and forth about sharing it because I don't want to make things too complicated. But at the same time, I want to show you. So I'm going to go ahead and start off. We're going to start with the days, but we're going to start in the book of Daniel. Now, it gives us many days, and honestly, I don't know what the differences in these days are, But I'm going to show you something very important. If you listen to me, you'll know because I'll say it over and over because I think that's what makes this channel different is there are many mistranslations in the Bible. And when looking to do biblical timing, you can find them. So it's unfortunate, as people are studying the Bible and trying to figure it out. They're being stumped. I remember being stumped on something. It wasn't about the time, but it was just a deliberate mistranslation. And I had to go behind the English, keep reading, read all of the, not the notes, but just the definitions and stuff like that. And you find that I don't remember how they worded it, that that's not really what it said. So anyway, it happens, guys, and it happens more than we think. And I will always remind you that it's not just me talking, but Christ himself said, beware of the scribes. We always talk about the Pharisees. Why would he warn us about the scribes? It doesn't make sense. Or does it? Beware of the scribes and the Pharisees. The scribes write the lies, and the Pharisees teach the lies. Beware of them. That's what he's saying. All right, so since we're talking about how long is the tribulation, we'll continue. We have Daniel 8:4. Now, I'm not going to go in and read up on this because these three passages I'm about to show you in the book of Daniel, I don't know where these numbers come from. I don't know what they mean. There are other numbers that talk about days that I do know what they mean, and it lines up with the amount of months and the years. So that's why I accept it. Like normally, my way of handling things is to go with the Old Testament because it was original. However, these all don't line up. It could mean that one thing is going to happen, then a few days something else happens, then a few days something else happens. That could very well be, but I don't have that information. And I'm not going to pretend to have information I don't know because if I'm found wrong, then it makes the things that are correct look not credible. So I don't do that. If I don't know, I'll tell you I don't know. Maybe he has given it to someone else. But what I do know is that the three passages of scriptures I'm about to show you have been mistranslated, and you will see for yourself. Okay, Daniel 8:14. And he said unto me, unto 2,300 days, then shall the sanctuary be cleansed. Again, I'm not going to get into the before and after because I want to show you this and then I'll move on to other days that I do understand. And I do understand those because they line up with the amount of months and they also line up with the years. So it makes sense. If these don't, they could be talking about something else or it could be mistranslated. I haven't figured that out yet. So let's click on the Strongs. All right. And he said, do you notice the number, the Strong's number is after this word said? Usually that's the way it works. The last word before that Strong's number is what that word is translated as. So if this is done correctly, H559 should be said. See, this is only one word, but yet we have three words here. So let's click on it and see. Said 4,874 times. So that was correct. So as you can see, they have added some words, but it's not always a big deal. They do it to make sentences flow, to make things make sense the way that we speak in English, but at other times they do it to change the meaning altogether, to force a meaning altogether. Oh boy, I can show you some things. Some are more harmless than others, but I wouldn't call this harmless because it's messing with Bible prophecy. It's messing with the time that God has given us to know when important events are about to happen. But some are huge, criminal. And that's what, ooh, it affects majority of believers in Babylon today. And I say in Babylon because outside of Babylon they have other religions. Okay, keep that in mind. Let's keep it moving. So the next part says, "Unto me, unto 2,000," but we only have one word. We had one word here, and we had another word here. So we have one, two, three, four, five more words. But the word before the Strong's word is thousand. So if this is done correctly, it should say thousand. Let's click on it and see. Yep, 1,500 times. That's fine. But what's wrong with this? Unto me, okay, he said unto me, not so bad. But thousand just became 2,000. So which is it? Did he tell him 2,000 days? Or is it really 1,000 days? Well, you may say, well, the two is there. It's not translated. And I'm going to tell you, and I'm going to show you that in every other case, if there is a number like 3,000 or 5,000 or 200 or 800, the number is translated. So this is not saying 2,000 because if it was 2, there would be a strongest word behind that 2. And I'm going to show you. So when we click on this and we scroll down to the bottom, we can see how the word thousand was used every other time in the Bible. The same H505, H505, a thousand, of thousands, 600,000, and let's click on this and then you can see. The 6 is translated. Let's click on this. 6, 187 times. You can't just stick a random number in front of thousand. That's a mistranslation, and it's a huge mistranslation because now it's messing with the time clock that Most High God is trying to give us through His servant Daniel. And I don't know what the differences is. You're going to see these three scriptures. I don't know, but there are other information I do know. But let's keep going. Of thousands, see, it's usually just a single thousand. Of thousands, unto thousands, thousand, 4,000, not in the number four, but keeping mercy for thousands. A thousand, see, that's a mistranslation to put the number two there. Here we again, 600,000. If it's 100,000, 100 is translated. 100, 571 times. If it's 600,000, 6 is translated. 687 times. So that's a mistranslation. They deliberately did that. I'll look at a few more. And of the thousand, two, oh wow, they did it again, 2,000. I don't know why they're doing this. Thousand, 6,000, H8837, H8337. Okay, so let's go back. But if we were to write what it really says, it will be 1,300 days. So I'm gonna write that down. Not 2,000. That's a lot of days. 8,300 days. That's a big difference. 1,000. Next, Daniel 12:11. And from the time, we know this word is time, that the daily, this is daily, sacrifice shall be taken away. This is probably the verb taken away. And I don't know if sacrifice would be considered a mistranslation because that's probably what they were already talking about. So some things are added just so that it flows and makes sense. But some things actually change everything. That make a desolate set up, there shall be 8,000, and now they did it with 100. 290 days. So I'm putting 1,190 days. And you'll see this throughout. Daniel 12, blessed is he that waiteth and cometh to the 1,305 and 30 days. So this one I think is correct. 1,003, I did look that one up. 105 and 30. Okay. 1,335 days. So I don't know what the difference between all of these is. But I do know what 1,260 days is, and that's what the book of Revelation speaks of. Again, normally I go by the book of or the Old Testament, but this is what I see for days, and it's all different. They could be different events, and it's mistranslated, and I don't understand it. But the 1,260 days lines up with the same amount of months and years. So I'm just going to leave it at that. But you'll see more of this. You will definitely see more. Let me see. And I want to point this out. 1,260, when you minus 1,190, you have a difference of 70. Okay? 70. 70 is a biblical number. 70 weeks are determined upon thy people. That's also in the book of Daniel. 70 years of the devil in the desolations of Babylon. I think that's the book of Jeremiah. So when it comes to prophetic time, 70 is something. So this might actually mean something, the 1,190 days, but I don't know. But it actually had it as 1,290 days. But yes, I find it strange to know the difference between the two. It's 70, and this is dealing with Bible time. I don't know, but we're going to continue on.